Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are getting into a really influential book, Get Out of Your Mind and Into Your Life by Stephen Hayes and Spencer Smith. This is all about finding a new way to move from a life of struggle and suffering to one that's actually full of meaning and purpose. All right, let's just jump right in with a pretty provocative question that really gets to the heart of what acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT, is all about. You see, the book wants us to think about something for a second. What if our whole approach to our own psychological pain is just wrong? Instead of constantly fighting this war inside our heads, what if we could just walk off the battlefield?
The book kicks off with this really powerful metaphor that frames the entire problem perfectly. You know, when we feel that psychological pain, anxiety, sadness, you name it, our first instinct is to fight it, right? To push it away. But what if, just like in quicksand, that very struggle is the thing that's actually pulling us under, making everything worse? So let's take a closer look at this quicksand net. Let's be honest, we all find ourselves in sometimes. And the book makes this really clear. This isn't some rare, unusual state. It's a fundamental part of being a human being.
So check this out. This number represents a pretty startling statistic from the book. About half of us will struggle with suicidal thoughts at some point in our lives. Now, the point here isn't to shock you. It's to normalize the experience of deep psychological pain. It's not a sign that you're broken. It's a sign that you're human.
So why do our best efforts to escape this pain so often seem to backfire? Well, that brings us to the hidden trap, a trap that's actually set by our own minds. And funny enough, it uses our greatest strength, our ability to think and use language, against us.
At the very center of this trap is something ACT calls cognitive fusion. This is that moment where we stop seeing our thoughts as just thoughts, words and pictures floating around in our heads, and instead, we start seeing the world through them. The thought, I'm a failure, stops being just a string of words and becomes a literal truth about who you are.
You see, the book explains that our minds are absolute masters at making connections. And that's fantastic for solving problems in the outside world. But it can cause some serious trouble when we turn that same logic inward. We start linking a feeling, like anxiety, to a genuine threat to our survival. We start reacting to a painful thought as if it were a tiger in the room with us. Okay, let's try a little experiment from the book. Right now, for just a few seconds, try your absolute best not to think about a yellow Jeep. Seriously, whatever you do, do not think about a yellow Jeep. So, what happened? This illustrates the problem perfectly, right? The very command, don't think of X, actually contains X, forcing your brain to picture it. And that's exactly what happens when we try to suppress painful thoughts. We usually end up making them even stronger.
The book uses worksheets to help people see this pattern in their own lives. And what you're seeing here is the typical result. These avoidance strategies, like binge watching TV to escape anxiety, they often work great in the short term. We get that relief we're looking for, but in the long run, there's a huge cost. Our world gets smaller, and that pain we were trying to run from, it often comes back even stronger.
Okay, so if fighting our thoughts and avoiding our feelings doesn't work, what's the alternative? Well, that brings us to a whole new path, one that's based not on struggle, but on a really radical kind of acceptance. All right, here's another super simple but really profound exercise from the book. I seriously encourage you to try this with me right now. For just 15 seconds, say the word milk out loud as fast as you can, over and over. Go for it. So, what happened? Did the word just become a weird sound? Did that image of cold white liquid kind of fade away? That is cognitive diffusion in action. It's the process of separating a thought from the thing it represents, of seeing words as just words and sounds as just sounds. It's a powerful way to unhook from those difficult stories our minds are constantly telling us. Now, this is so important to understand. Acceptance, or what ACT calls willingness, is not about liking your pain. It's not about wanting it to be there. And it's definitely not about resigning yourself to a miserable life. It's just the choice to make a little space for discomfort, to allow those difficult feelings to be there without a fight so that you can get on with actually living your life. Which brings us to another great metaphor. Imagine you're in this constant, exhausting tug-of-war with a monster made of your painful thoughts and feelings. ACT suggests we just stop pulling, just drop the rope. Now, the monster might still be there, but suddenly all that energy we were wasting on this unwinnable fight, it's now free to be used for something else. And what is that something else? Well, dropping the rope frees us up to focus on what truly matters, and that is living a life that we consciously and actively guide based on our own deepest values. The book makes a really critical distinction here. Values are not goals.
A goal is something you can achieve and then check off a list, like getting a degree, a value. That's a direction. It's like a compass point. You can never arrive at being a loving partner. You just continue to choose to act in a loving way moment after moment. It's an ongoing process, not some final destination. Now, to help us really connect with these values, the book offers a pretty powerful exercise. Take a moment and imagine your own funeral. What would you genuinely want the people you love and care about to say your life stood for? Not what you accomplished, but the qualities you embodied. This kind of exercise really cuts through all the noise and gets right to the heart of what's most important to you. And it's not like your values are just confined to one or two areas of your life, right? The book outlines these 10 different domains just to get you thinking, to explore what's important to you across the entire landscape of your life. I mean, think about it, from relationships and your career, all the way to your community and just how you take care of yourself. So in the end, the book really leaves us with this fundamental choice. Are you going to keep letting the automatic chatter of your mind, the fusion, the avoidance, the struggle, drive the bus of your life? Or are you going to, with willingness and courage, take the wheel and choose to live a life that's actually directed by the values that give it meaning? The choice, as the book suggests, is always yours, in every single moment.